And the fraud is mind-boggling. It's not hundreds of dollars. It's not thousands of dollars. It's not tens of thousands of dollars. It's not even millions of dollars. We're talking about tens of millions of dollars in fraud and theft and robbery across a multi-year investigation.
October 23rd, 2025, the day basketball allegedly fell apart. FBI agents stormed homes across 11 states in a massive operation called Nothing But Net. Hall of Famers, coaches, and even active players were allegedly taken in, accused of fraud and rigging games. Reports claim 4 powerful families were secretly influencing the NBA from the shadows. This wasn't some random white-collar bust, it was an alleged network buried deep inside the league's foundation. Picture the FBI in tactical gear, breaking down doors from coast to coast, chasing names that once defined greatness on the court. Authorities said over 30 people were allegedly involved, from former legends to front office officials. The league's reputation cracked wide open. Subscribe right now, because this alleged scandal is just getting started, and what's coming next might change everything. The indictments, unsealed in the Eastern District of New York, opened up what prosecutors call a Pandora's box of alleged corruption. 2 massive schemes, straight out of a crime thriller, that were exposed. An insider sports betting ring using confidential NBA info, and a high-stakes poker network allegedly backed by 4 notorious crime families: Bonanno, Gambino, Genovese, and Lucchese. These names alone send chills down the spine of anyone who knows the dark world of organized crime.
What you don't know is that this is an illegal gambling operation and sports rigging operation that spanned the course of years. The FBI led a coordinated takedown across 11 states to arrest over 30 individuals today responsible for this case, which is very much ongoing. Not only did we crack into the fraud that these perpetrators committed on the grand stage of the NBA, but we also entered and executed a system of justice against La Casa Nostra to include the Bonanno, Gambino, Genovese, and Lucchese crime family.
Authorities allege the operations made tens of millions in illegal profits, funneled into other criminal ventures. Investigators claim it went beyond simple betting. It was spot fixing, manipulating tiny game details like player substitutions, timeouts, or fake injuries to swing the odds without ever fully rigging the final score. The genius and dangers of it all was how invisible it seemed to fans and analysts alike. And now, the shockwaves hit real names. Among those allegedly implicated, Chauncey Billups, the Portland Trail Blazers head coach, a respected Hall of Famer, 5-time All-Star, and 2004 Finals MVP, once viewed as the definition of integrity in basketball. His arrest in Portland sent shock through the sports world. Fans still can't believe what they're hearing. Chauncey Billups wasn't the only one allegedly caught in this web. Prosecutors claim he took part in mafia-backed poker games meant to lure unsuspecting victims into losing their hard-earned money, and even leaked insider info about the Trailblazers' alleged tanking strategies during the 2023 season. Next up, Terry Rozier of the Miami Heat. 10 years in the league, fresh off a $97 million contract in 2024, sitting at the top of the basketball world until this. Authorities allege Rozier shared non-public details about injuries and early exits for bets on 7 games across multiple teams, including the Hornets, Magic, Blazers, Lakers, and Raptors. And then there's Damon Jones, former NBA champ turned coach. He allegedly played both sides of the scandal, selling injury info about stars like LeBron James and Anthony Davis during the 2023 Lakers season, while also joining the rigged poker circuit that targeted wealthy players who didn't know they were being set up from the start.
We're here in New York to announce a historic arrest across a wide-sweeping criminal enterprise that envelops both the NBA and La Casa Nostra.
But here's the craziest part. This might not be a one-off. Experts say this alleged scandal builds on years of buried NBA gambling controversies that never truly went away. Subscribe now, because the next chapter of this story gets even darker. The roots of this alleged scandal trace back to one shocking case: the 2024 lifetime ban of former Toronto Raptors center John T. Porter, a rising star whose career crumbled after a guilty plea tied to prop bet manipulation. Investigators say Porter's mounting gambling debts led to threats and coercion, forcing him to leak insider info that allegedly connects straight to today's arrests. Now, the NBA finds itself caught in its own storm. With over $1 billion tied to betting partners like DraftKings and FanDuel, the league must somehow balance those massive deals while facing the fallout from these allegations. The fallout hit fast. Portland's coach Chauncey Billups was placed on administrative leave, with Tiago Splitter stepping in as interim head coach. It's chaos behind the scenes as the league scrambles to protect its image and keep operations steady. And make no mistake, this was no random bust. The FBI reportedly carried out a massive, months-long investigation spanning 11 states and multiple agencies. Thousands of hours of surveillance, over 3,000 recorded calls, and even crypto tracing through blockchain tech, all building toward an airtight federal case. The NBA's $10 billion empire now faces the biggest test in its modern history, and the cracks are starting to show. The sports world has changed forever, and fans everywhere are asking the same chilling question: how deep does this alleged corruption go? Could insider info and spot fixing have reached deeper into the NBA than anyone imagined? And if so, how do you rebuild trust in a game built on competition and integrity? The 3 NBA-linked figures arrested now face a storm of federal charges: wire fraud, conspiracy, money laundering, and illegal gambling, all allegedly tied to organized crime networks. If convicted, experts say these charges could lead to decades behind bars. But to really grasp the weight of it all, you have to look inside the schemes themselves, how they allegedly worked, who was involved, and what tactics made them so hard to detect. Law enforcement calls this one of the most sophisticated fraud operations in modern sports, and the details are mind-blowing.
Between December 2022 and March 2024, these defendants perpetrated a scheme to defraud by betting on inside, non-public information about NBA athletes and teams. The non-public information included when specific players would be sitting out future games, or when they would pull themselves out early for purported injuries or illness.
The insider betting ring reportedly ran like a well-oiled machine from March 2023 through March 2024. A full year of exploiting confidential NBA data, perfectly timed to shift odds and profits in their favor. It was an operation built on trust, secrecy, and manipulation, the ultimate game off the court. The scope of this alleged operation was massive, stretching across 7 NBA teams: the Hornets, Magic, Trailblazers, Lakers, Raptors, Cavaliers, and Heat, all allegedly touched by a network of inside information and offshore betting. Some of the league's biggest names and most historic franchises caught in the same shadowy web. The alleged setup was dangerously simple and devastatingly effective. It only needed 3 parts: insider access to confidential info, a network of trusted bettors, and offshore gambling sites beyond U.S. control. Prosecutors claim NBA insiders, including certain players and coaches, leaked private details about injuries, illness, and team strategies to their gambling contacts. These details were then used to place huge bets on player unders, prop outcomes, and even subtle team losses, with a confidence that only comes from knowing what's coming next. And the alleged proof? A game on March 23, 2023, Hornets versus Bulls. Terry Rozier reportedly exited after just 9 minutes, citing a foot injury. That same night, over $150,000 in wagers hit perfectly on his under 20.5 points, allegedly earning over $100,000 in pure profit from one single move. If true, it's one of the boldest examples of spot fixing in modern sports history, and it may just be the tip of the iceberg. Just 1 day later, March 24th, 2023, another jaw-dropping incident allegedly unfolded. Prosecutors claim Chauncey Billups shared the Trailblazers' secret tanking plans with insiders, revealing that Damian Lillard and key starters would be benched for what the team called roster evaluation. That private info turned into gold for bettors who allegedly placed $80,000 on the Blazers to lose, and when Portland fell by 28 points, those wagers paid out perfectly. But that was just half the story. The insider betting ring was one arm of a much larger operation, a sprawling mafia-linked network with another shocking side, a high-stakes rigged poker scheme that preyed on wealthy players and celebrities. This underground empire allegedly used cutting-edge tech and psychological tactics to tilt every hand in favor of the house. Imagine this: card shufflers modified with hidden cameras and transmitters, poker tables fitted with X-ray sensors that could read cards even when face down, and marked decks visible only through special contact lenses. All of it designed to bleed victims dry, while letting players believe they were competing against NBA legends and stars.
Among these defendants are 13 members and associates of the Bonanno, Gambino, and Genovese crime families, to include capos and soldiers from these families. Additionally, as you heard, current and former NBA coaches and players are also implicated, to include Chauncey Billups, Damon Jones, and Terry Rozier.
This operation allegedly ran for years, from 2019 through 2025, undetected, unstoppable, and unbelievably profitable. Subscribe right now, because the next part exposes how this poker ring scammed millions without anyone realizing it. Hidden cameras, rigged tables, poker chip trays wired with mini lenses that could read every single card on the table. That's how deep this alleged poker operation went. The victims? Drawn into luxury-filled traps in some of the most exclusive locations across America: the Hamptons, high roller Vegas suites, Miami penthouses overlooking the ocean, and Manhattan hotels built for the ultra-rich. More than 100 alleged victims joined over 50 secret poker sessions, with buy-ins ranging from $100,000 to $1 million per seat. And what sealed the deal every time? The presence of so-called face cards. Recognizable celebrities and ex-NBA stars who gave these games a sense of trust and excitement that money can't buy. Prosecutors allege Chauncey Billups attended 5 to 7 poker sessions, serving as the headline draw, the Hall of Fame coach everyone wanted to face across the table. Damon Jones allegedly joined over 10, using his championship background and NBA connections to lure in high rollers who had no idea they were being set up from the start. The reported damage was staggering: over $7 million in direct losses, plus $20 million allegedly laundered through shell companies, crypto wallets, and international banks to hide the money trail. The organizers, known simply as the houses, allegedly took 10 to 20% of every pot, creating a constant cash flow split among conspirators in a hierarchy straight out of organized crime playbooks. And here's where things get even darker. Prosecutors allege that the poker operation wasn't acting alone. It was allegedly backed by 4 organized crime families: Bonanno, Gambino, Genovese, and Lucchese. Each group reportedly supplied muscle, money laundering routes, and decades of experience running illegal gambling networks. This wasn't just about poker. It was about control, intimidation, and fear. According to court filings, when victims couldn't pay their debts or dared to speak out, enforcers allegedly stepped in with threats, extortion, and even armed robbery. In one chilling case, a victim was allegedly held at gunpoint and forced to hand over $500,000 in jewelry. Others were reportedly threatened with harm if they didn't pay up immediately, the kind of tactics that show just how deep this underworld influence ran. As the dust settles, the shockwaves across basketball are enormous. Fans, sponsors, and entire franchises are now questioning everything. How could this have happened under the NBA's watch? And how does a league so tied to billion-dollar betting deals recover from an alleged scandal this massive? Behind every headline are real people, players, coaches, and victims whose lives have been permanently altered, reputations shattered, futures uncertain. Subscribe right now, because in the final chapter, we're breaking down how this alleged scandal could change pro basketball forever. As the accused now face long trials, possible prison time, and exile from the game they dedicated their lives to, both the NBA and the Players Association have released carefully worded statements. The league emphasized full cooperation with federal investigators, while stressing the presumption of innocence until proven guilty in court. Officials say they'll continue working alongside the FBI and the Department of Justice to expose any corruption that may exist, but admit they must balance toughness with fairness until all facts are proven. The Players Association took a stronger stance, pushing back on what they call a media frenzy and a rush to judgment. They've reminded the public that charges are not convictions, and that every player deserves the same due process as any citizen under the law. It's a reminder that the court of public opinion can move far faster and hit far harder than a real courtroom ever could. Meanwhile, the financial fallout has already begun. Sponsors are nervous. Team revenues are dipping. The Raptors, Trailblazers, and Heat have all seen ticket sales drop, with Portland's home opener reportedly leaving 10% of seats unsold. The ripple effect could stretch across the entire league, reshaping how sports and betting coexist in the future. The fallout isn't just legal, it's financial. The NBA was already struggling with fan engagement, but after this alleged scandal, the money trail tells its own story. Jersey sales for implicated players have tanked. Terry Rozier's Miami Heat merch reportedly dropped 15% in October 2025 alone, according to Fanatics data. Those percentages might sound small, but across millions in revenue, it's a serious hit, one that affects team profits, salary caps, and long-term business plans. Every dollar lost echoes through the entire league. But the real financial earthquake lies in the NBA's partnership with major betting companies. What was once a billion-dollar relationship with DraftKings and FanDuel, built on sponsorships, in-game betting, and co-branded promotions, is now under heavy scrutiny. After the Jonte Porter betting ban in 2024, their stocks fell 5 to 7%, and after the latest arrests in late 2025, they dropped another 3%. Investors are worried about stricter oversight, growing public backlash, and the chance that this might only be the beginning. Now regulators are waking up fast. State governments and even federal lawmakers are turning their eyes toward the sports betting world, an industry that's largely been allowed to police itself until now.
Stand here today with the men and women of the FBI and this legal team. And to the United States Attorney, I just want to thank you personally for taking the time to display the work that the media is about to hear about today in detail. As I said, it does take courageous prosecutors, but it takes a courageous United States Attorney to bring this case, because we are going to take heat for it.
That era of quiet cooperation may be ending, and the rules of the game could soon change for everyone. In August 2024, Ontario, Canada took a drastic step, banning all NBA player prop bets after the Jonte Porter case. That single move cost sportsbooks millions and set a precedent now being studied by regulators across North America. The ripple effect has been massive, and the man once leading the charge for legalized betting, Commissioner Adam Silver, suddenly found himself changing course. Silver, who once said that banning gambling only fuels black markets, is now urging for federal oversight and tighter controls over the same industry he helped legitimize. In an October 2024 statement, widely seen as a complete reversal, he called the U.S. sports betting market, now worth over $150 billion a year, vulnerable and under-regulated in the wake of recent scandals. In response, the NBA rolled out sweeping reforms. Every player, coach, and staff member must now attend mandatory gambling education sessions. The league expanded its partnership with US Integrity to track betting data in real time with faster alerts and more advanced algorithms. They've also locked down access to injury reports and other sensitive info that could be exploited by bad actors. But this isn't the first time sports have been rocked by gambling corruption. The echoes go all the way back to the infamous 1919 Black Sox scandal, when 8 Chicago White Sox players were banned for life, a reminder that history may be repeating itself. The NBA's alleged betting scandal isn't without historical echoes. Sports have faced this nightmare before. In 1919, the Black Sox scandal rocked baseball when players conspired with gamblers to throw the World Series. That betrayal was so severe it led to the creation of the first commissioner and a total overhaul of how the league governed itself. Fast forward to 2007, the Tim Donaghy case hit the NBA like a bombshell. The referee pled guilty to betting on games he officiated and feeding inside info to gamblers, forcing the league to completely rethink how officials were monitored and disciplined. And baseball never forgot Pete Rose, one of the game's greatest players, banned for life after betting on his own team while managing the Reds. Decades later, that punishment still stands. Now, the alleged connection to Jontay Porter feels even more chilling. Prosecutors say his case exposes how younger, lower-paid players might be more vulnerable to gambling debts and outside pressure. Porter, reportedly earning about $1.5 million on a two-way deal, allegedly racked up nearly $2 million in betting and crypto losses, a debt load that left him open to manipulation. Investigators claim he was pressured into altering his play, deliberately underperforming and exiting early with fake injuries to cash in on prop bets. One of the clearest, most direct examples of alleged game manipulation in modern basketball. And it all came to light during a January 2024 matchup against the Clippers. That night, January 26, 2024, Jontay Porter played just 4 minutes before leaving the game with what he claimed was an eye injury. His stat line, 0 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, looked harmless. But prosecutors allege over $200,000 was wagered on his underperformance, bringing in more than $750,000 in illegal profits for the conspirators who allegedly pressured him into the scheme. Looking ahead, the fallout from this case could reshape professional basketball and sports gambling as a whole. The first big shift, expect much stronger federal oversight. Lawmakers are already discussing a new federal agency or expanding current ones to monitor betting in real time across all platforms. The goal, catch suspicious patterns before they explode into another national scandal. Second, the NBA and other leagues will likely tighten the rules. Expect tougher limits on who can bet, mandatory reporting of any gambling activity, and stricter control over sensitive team info. Some insiders even predict lifetime bans for players or coaches caught violating betting rules, no matter how minor the infraction might seem. And third, that cozy relationship between leagues and betting companies? It may be about to change. Future partnerships could shrink, in-game betting ads may fade, and leagues might finally try to separate their image from gambling to win back public trust. The NBA's next chapter is being written right now, one where the price of integrity has never been higher. In today's world, it feels like we've witnessed the closing of an era, the end of the NBA as we once knew it. Years of unstoppable growth, billion-dollar deals, and global dominance have come crashing down in shocking fashion, leaving fans everywhere asking the same question: can the game ever truly recover from this? This isn't just the end of a scandal. It's the start of a reckoning for the entire sport. Thanks for watching. And if you've made it this far, make sure to subscribe and check out the other videos on screen. The story continues.